Thank you for joining me, Carole, so you can help the rest of our township understand what it is that you do in our community and what the organization of Valoris provides. I honestly, this is a free-flowing conversation. Wherever you want to go with the conversation you want to go, I'll go with you, and I'll ask questions along the way. But to start us off, if you could give us an idea as to what the organization does, I think it's a good start.
Okay, well, Valoris is an organization that has 5 different services. It's the only one in Ontario. I think there's one in Sudbury too. So it's an amalgamation of all services that serve adults and children with disabilities, with mental health issues, anything that families need. So it's really nice because it's only one number. People call one phone number and they can get all the services that they're looking for. So in amalgamated, I don't want to get this wrong, but I may. It's 2000 or 2001 that it was. But I worked for 2 other agencies before that. So I've been around for a long time. I've been working in Prescott Russell since 1976. So I'm born and raised here. I've always lived in Prescott Russell other than when I went to school. So, of course, I came back here, bought a house, moved in with my husband and had raised my kids here. So Prescott Russell is a big county, but in my heart is in Russell Township, obviously. I'm an Embrun girl. It's a wonderful place to live. When I work with teenagers, I always try to make sure that they understand that, how lucky they are to live in this township. It's amazing. We've got all the services we need. We're close to the city, but not that close. I know it's growing right now and it's going to be bigger and bigger. But, so for me, my heart is here and I intend to stay here until I can't. So.
Et si c'est plus facile en français, je comprends aussi.
Oui, je peux parler en français aussi. So, mon historique, moi, je viens d'une famille que mon père était un politicien local. Il était maire du township de Russell pendant 30 ans. Ça fait que j'ai grandi avec la politique. J'ai jamais voulu faire de politique, mais ça m'intéresse. Donc, j'ai décidé vraiment de plutôt travailler dans la communauté. Fait que mon travail avec Valoris, ça m'apporte à créer plein de choses pour aider les familles et les jeunes dans la communauté. J'ai fait plein d'autres choses avant, mais c'est toujours été connecté avec comment aider les autres et les familles dans ma communauté. Donc, le programme que j'ai maintenant à Valoris, c'est excellent. Ça s'appelle C'est ta communauté. In English, it's Communities That Care. So it's a program that Valoris bought. It's all over the world. We are lucky to have it here. There was one in Vancouver a while back. I'm not sure if it's still there. And I think there was one in East, maybe Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, somewhere around there. But, so we're lucky to have it here. And, we have 3 people running this program. So I'm myself here in Embrun, and I have a colleague in Rockland and one in Hawkesbury. So we really serve Prescott Russell entirely. Valoris does a lot of things, but I'll talk mostly about what we do, because it helps everyone, basically. So my program, is for kids from 11 to 17. So we figure if we build the leadership skills of kids that age, they'll be, better adults later on, better parents, better community members. So we run a lot of programs. A lot of them are to help kids with mental health issues. Others are just to make sure that these kids love where they live, what they do, adapt themselves in their school, in their community, and at home. So it really helps to, comme on dit en français, comme essayer de vraiment arrondir toute la vie d'un adolescent pour être capable de bien vivre chez eux. On fait des groupes. Fait que je travaille pas mal souvent en soirée, la plupart du temps. Après l'école, on a souvent des groupes, au moins 2-3 par semaine. Puis les groupes vont par saison. Fait que comme c'est là, j'ai les groupes qui existent, c'est plutôt de 4 heures jusqu'à 8 heures le soir, 3 soirs semaine. C'est un nouveau groupe qu'on vient d'adapter. Ça s'appelle Girls on the Run. Le programme qu'on a choisi avec ta communauté, c'est Heart and Soul. Encore là, c'est un programme innovateur pour le Canada. Ça existe aux États-Unis, mais il vient de commencer à Ottawa. Puis j'ai embarqué avec cette équipe-là. Donc, c'est un projet pilote. C'est le premier groupe qu'on donne dans la communauté de Russell. Fait que j'ai 10 filles de 11 à 13 ans. 2 fois par semaine pour 10 semaines. Puis c'est vraiment santé mentale, santé physique. Donc, avec l'utilité du dôme, ça nous aide beaucoup aussi. On utilise tout ce qu'on a dans notre communauté. Donc, le programme est 1h30, 2 fois semaine. Les filles apprennent vraiment à bien connecter ensemble, s'entraider. Comment qu'on fait pour résoudre tous nos petits problèmes. On a beaucoup de discussions, beaucoup de jeux de rôle. Ils adorent les jeux de rôle, les filles. Ils adorent ça. Ils adorent le fait qu'il n'y a pas de gars. C'est nouveau parce qu'habituellement, nos programmes, on a des gars, des filles, on accepte tous les jeunes de la communauté. Mais c'est nouveau, puis c'est le fun, puis les filles aiment ça. On fait de l'exercice. Ils aiment pas trop courir, puis le programme s'appelle Girls on the Run. Fait comme c'est nouveau, fait qu'on a adapté, on donne un petit peu de yoga, un peu de méditation, toutes les choses qui peuvent nous aider physiquement aussi. On utilise la piste cyclable. Fait qu'on va prendre une grande marche, on va jusqu'à UFUDC, l'ancien Euphoria. On va prendre un petit smoothie, on prend un petit break, on retourne. Mais en marchant, on discute souvent de tous les sujets que les jeunes ont besoin de parler. Ça fait que c'est beaucoup plus facile que juste s'asseoir dans un groupe puis juste jaser. En marchant, en faisant de l'exercice, ils s'aperçoivent pas vraiment qu'ils discutent puis ils parlent de qu'est-ce qui les dérange puis comment qu'on va trouver des solutions. Fait que c'est un excellent programme. C'est un programme qui est testé, validé. Fait que Valoris, c'est important parce que on veut vraiment offrir des programmes qui vont vraiment bien servir la communauté. C'est pas des choses qu'on invente. On va aller acheter des programmes qui vont vraiment pouvoir permettre aux jeunes de bien comme se situer dans leur situation où ils sont comme c'est là. Donc, avec le Kin Club, ça nous a vraiment donné une opportunité de grandir. On offre maintenant beaucoup plus de programmes qu'avant parce qu'on peut se permettre d'aller les acheter parce que Valoris, vraiment, il paye mon salaire et c'est tout. Tout ce que je fais avec les jeunes, je dois faire des levées de fonds. Fait qu'avant, je faisais des petites levées de fonds de 3-4 000 $, mais c'est pas assez pour faire des gros projets. Donc, ceci me permet vraiment d'élargir. Ça fait que il y a Girls on the Run, il y a Healthy Relationships qu'on donne aussi. On a... celui-là, c'est un programme qu'on a un petit peu inventé parce que on a un besoin d'inclusion dans notre communauté. Il s'est passé plein de choses avec des jeunes, oui, il y a eu beaucoup de bullying, toutes sortes d'affaires qui s'est passé dans les communautés. Fait que ça nous a fait réfléchir. Puis on a dit, on va former un groupe d'adultes. Fait que je fais partie de ce groupe-là. On l'appelle EDI. Ça, c'est vraiment équité, égalité et inclusion. Puis moi, j'ai décidé d'en faire un aussi avec les jeunes. Donc, on accepte tous les jeunes de Prescott Russell. Fait que s'ils ont besoin d'un chauffeur pour aller les chercher, on a des chauffeurs bénévoles qui peuvent les amener d'Hawkesbury à Embrun. Il y a pas de problème, on se débrouille. Fait qu'encore là, j'ai un groupe d'à peu près 10-15 jeunes. Ça se trouve que le 3/4, c'est des filles encore. Je pense que c'est juste les filles adorent s'impliquer à des choses comme ça. Mais en tout cas, ça fonctionne super bien. On accepte des garçons aussi. On essaye vraiment de trouver des façons d'aller les chercher, là. Quelque chose qui les attire pour venir à un groupe comme tel. C'est que ce groupe-là, ça fait 1 an qu'on le donne. On le donne durant l'été aussi, durant l'année scolaire, 2 fois par mois. Fait qu'on se rencontre en soirée, les jeudis soirs de 6h à 7h30. Fait que c'est un bon temps pour les jeunes. Ils ont eu le temps de faire leurs devoirs, de souper, tout ça. Et puis, il y a des fois, ça dure plus longtemps parce que c'est des bonnes discussions puis ils ont toutes sortes de projets en tête. Fait que le projet que les jeunes ont décidé de choisir au bout de un an de discussion, c'est quoi qu'on va faire, comment on va s'impliquer dans notre communauté pour qu'il y ait de l'égalité, l'équité puis l'inclusion. Ben, surtout durant la COVID, on a discuté beaucoup les aînés. Tu sais, c'est des gens qui sont isolés souvent, même s'ils vivent dans leur appartement ou dans leur maison, ils n'ont pas toujours la chance d'avoir plein de visites. Je vais prendre une petite gorgée d'eau. Donc, j'ai vu quelque chose à un moment donné à l'Internet. Ça s'appelle Human Library, Bibliothèque humaine. Je sais pas si tu en as déjà entendu parler. Oui. Je trouvais ça super intéressant. Ça existe à, je pense, 85 pays en Europe, mais on n'a pas ici. Donc, on a commencé à discuter de ça, comment on pourrait le faire. Ça fait que les jeunes ont préparé un questionnaire d'à peu près 2 pages de questions. On les a aidés à vraiment bien situer ça. Là, maintenant, au stage qui se pratique, puis ils commencent à interviewer des gens de la communauté. C'est qu'on commence à prendre des aînés de 60 ans et plus, de 60-70 pour que les jeunes aient la chance de se pratiquer, puis les gens sont à l'aise. Puis jusqu'à maintenant, c'est tous des gens que j'ai connus, que j'ai rencontrés dans ma carrière, dans mes voisins, ma famille, tout le monde qui sont... Puis les aînés qui ont été interviewés, autant que les jeunes ont adoré ça. C'est un programme, je pense, qui va vraiment être innovateur dans la communauté. On espère bientôt aller rencontrer les bibliothèques locales puis leur demander est-ce que ça vous intéresse? Parce que là, il va falloir développer un programme. Comment on va faire pour amener toutes ces bonnes entrevues-là à la bibliothèque? Le but, c'est vraiment, premièrement, de développer des habiletés de leadership chez nos jeunes, mais aussi de connecter avec des personnes dans la communauté qui ont une grosse expérience de vie et de travail. Dans ma tête, qu'est-ce qui fonctionnerait bien, c'est qu'à un moment donné, si ça va, un jeune de 15 ans, il sait pas qu'est-ce qu'il veut faire, mais il sait qu'il veut peut-être travailler dans un métier quelconque. Ben, il peut aller à la bibliothèque, aller trouver... Eric Greer, lui, il a été mécanicien toute sa vie, il a vécu ici, il a fait ça, blablabla. Il prend un rendez-vous, il rencontre cette personne-là, puis ils discutent ensemble de qu'est-ce que je devrais faire pour être un bon mécanicien, puis c'est-tu pour moi? Au lieu de juste aller faire un Google search. Alors, this way, I think it would be like so much more interactive. And obviously, it will create less boredom for our aging population who had so much to say and so much experience to share. So that's where we are right now with this program. So Valoris and CTC, we do so much stuff. So I don't know if you want to...
I have a million questions based upon all these are amazing projects.
Because we have more and more that we want to develop. Oh, yeah, we did start a sport library. So again, with the money that we ended up getting from the Kin Club. So again, we're starting to buy stuff when we see it's on sale or some like Canadian Tire will always give us a good discount because of the program that they have for sports. So we're building up a library. We have 4 kayaks. We have good life jackets and everything else. We have a donation of bikes. I have about 10 bikes that are in my storage at Valoris here. And so we want to create something where somebody in the community would like to go on the Castor River as a family and just come and borrow the kayak for a couple of days and bring it back. So that's where we're at. We just started that also this summer, so it's a brand new program. Kids love that because they get to go ask their neighbors or family, do you want to donate good sports equipment you don't use? So again, it's a lot of initiative on their part. So that's another good program that we have. We are thinking of doing not necessarily an exchange, but we would like to go visit Probably Squamish, BC, because I heard that they did have the same program as us way back. So, and this would be a very good experience for like 5 or 6 teens with a couple adults to go and spend some time in that community and learn how they live compared to how we live in Russell Township. So that's a project maybe in 2024, because that will need a lot of preparation. We have to find the right teens and youths that are willing to do this, and why, and what is it going to give them, and how can we give back to that community also. So it'll take a good year of preparation, but that's another project that we have. And of course, that'll cost quite a bit of money. So we keep selling Catch Days tickets, and hopefully we're going to make more money and use it wisely. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh yes, we did do in the past with Valoris, it was a mental health day. So at that time, and that was probably about 8 years ago, and we hadn't had any opportunity to redo it. So it would be basically 10 kids per high school in Prescott, Russell, and SDNG that would meet in one place and try to find solutions and work together and get guest speakers of people that have had issues of mental health, and they did go through it, and this is what I do now, and I'm fine. And you can get better. You can, with the right help, the right support. So that's another kind of thing that we have in the back of our heads to maybe we can put that together. So a lot of projects. So I'm going to wait for your questions to keep going.
Je peux sentir votre passion pour ces projets.
Ah oui, oui.
Et je suis curieux, comment est-ce que cette passion a formé dans ta vie?
Je suis toujours passionnée pour tout ce que je fais. Je suis une personne d'action. Je suis pas une personne qui est assise à un bureau puis qui essaie de... Je suis très active, je travaille encore. Ça fait 46 ans que je travaille dans la même agence. Ça n'est jamais arrivé avant. L'année passée, j'ai eu une petite médaille de 45 ans. J'adore qu'est-ce que je fais. Je trouve qu'à Valoris, on a l'opportunité de faire différentes choses. Ça, c'est pas toujours qu'est-ce que je fais maintenant. J'ai pas fait ça tout le temps de ma carrière. J'ai travaillé avec les familles à besoins spéciaux. J'ai travaillé avec des adultes ayant des problèmes aussi. J'ai travaillé avec toutes sortes de différents aspects d'entraide. Mais ça revient toujours à la même chose, c'est comment on fait pour être bien dans sa peau, puis comment on peut aider les autres. So, oui, je suis passionnée je pense que mes parents, ils étaient vraiment, vraiment communautaires, comme mon père était en politique, mais ma mère est une enseignante. Elle a pris sa retraite assez jeune, vers 47 ans, pour pouvoir suivre mon père dans sa carrière. Puis, très, très actif dans la communauté. Tout le monde connaît Gaston Patnaud puis Pauline Patnaud. C'était, je veux dire, il y a la salle Gaston Patnaud. Puis je suis fière de ça. Je suis fière d'aller là puis voir le nom de mon père. Ça fait que je veux continuer un petit peu, comme qu'ils disent, the legacy of the Patnaud people in Prescott Russell.
Ouais.
Especially in Russell Township.
Et pendant les années, qu'est-ce que tu as vu comme des changements plus majeurs dans la communauté?
Ah, ben, je veux dire, les changements sont extrêmes. Je veux dire, quand moi j'étais jeune, on avait une école francophone, une école secondaire, une école anglophone à Russell. C'était très, très différent. Je veux dire, quand moi j'ai commencé l'école, je ne pouvais même pas prendre l'autobus pour aller à maternelle parce qu'il n'y en avait pas. So, c'est l'autobus secondaire que mes parents avaient dit, non, tu vas aller quand même à maternelle, on va s'arranger. So, je prenais à 5 ans l'autobus scolaire secondaire, puis je passais la journée là. On était peut-être 5-6 dans la communauté de la campagne qui faisait ça. So, maintenant, tu vois la différence, là. Quand je compte ça aux jeunes, ils disent, ben ouais, ça n'a pas d'allure. Je dis, ben non, c'était comme ça à ce moment-là, tu sais. c'est pas rendu une mini-Orléans, puis je veux pas que ça devienne un mini-Orléans. J'ai rien contre Orléans, là, c'est une super belle place. Mais je veux dire, je veux garder l'aspect communautaire qu'on a ici. Faut pas perdre ça. Mais que je me rends compte, c'est beaucoup de gens qui déménagent à Embrun, Russell, Limoges, Marionville, qui viennent de la ville, c'est ça qu'ils recherchent. Ils sont ici pour vraiment pouvoir avoir la même opportunité que nous autres, on a eu toute notre vie, qu'on a vécu ici, tu sais.
Et pourquoi est-ce que tu gardes ton attention sur les personnes âgées, sur la santé mentale et comme les sujets que vous avez choisis? C'était quoi la raison pour ça?
Que mes jeunes ont décidé de...
Non, pour toi.
OK. Moi, c'est vraiment... Je suis toujours centrée sur les jeunes. C'est pas juste mon emploi, c'est ma passion parce que comme je dis souvent, les jeunes vont devenir les adultes de demain. Donc, c'est super important. Moi, quand j'étais adolescente, là, j'étais aussi passionnée de qu'est-ce que je faisais à ce moment-là que je fais maintenant. Je veux que ça soit dans la pensée puis dans le cœur de nos jeunes maintenant. Parce qu'ils ont besoin de leadership, ils ont besoin d'appartenance. Quand les jeunes ils ont ça les gouverne de rester des bons jeunes puis de s'impliquer puis même on a souvent des jeunes qui ont beaucoup de troubles qui viennent, mais les autres jeunes sont là pour les supporter. Puis je trouve que même un jeune qui va discuter à l'école, quand il vient à nos groupes, il n'y a pas nécessairement des difficultés. Parce que les autres jeunes, il y a aucun jugement. Toutes les jeunes du début qui viennent, ils savent que c'est vraiment, t'es ici, c'est de l'inclusion totale. Puis si tu dis des choses inappropriées, ben les autres vont te le dire. J'ai même pas besoin de le faire. Souvent, c'est automatique. J'ai souvent aussi 2-3 étudiants que j'engage durant l'année parce que j'ai aussi le goût de former d'autres bons travailleurs qui veulent continuer. Parce qu'à un moment donné, il va falloir que j'arrête de travailler ou je vais être rendue trop vieille, là, je sais pas. Je sais pas quand ça va arriver, mais c'est important je fais beaucoup de mentorat avec les jeunes de l'université collège. J'accepte beaucoup de jeunes pour pouvoir nous aider. J'ai beaucoup de jeunes aussi qui viennent faire du bénévolat parce que ils sont dans un programme comme soit en travail social, en psychologie, même en criminologie. C'est un peu la clientèle d'étudiants que je reçois. Ça, ouais.
Et le pourcentage les jeunes qui viennent à toi en comparaison de ce que tu vois et tu trouves?
Ben, je vais les chercher, c'est-à-dire que je vais faire d'annonces dans les écoles. On fait de la publicité sur Facebook. On a aussi un site Instagram privé que on invite les jeunes à se joindre. Puis le programme est fait que si, bon, toi, Eric, t'es un jeune de 15 ans, t'es dans notre Instagram et tu veux que ton ami joigne, ben, il faut qu'ils envoient une demande. Fait que c'est très sécure. Puis là, à ce moment-là, c'est plutôt pour annoncer nos choses, faire certain que tous les jeunes sont au courant de qu'est-ce qu'on fait. Ça fait que ça, c'est une façon de faire de la publicité. Puis, on s'implique dans toutes sortes d'activités communautaires. Ça fait que là, à ce moment-là, c'est une autre chance pour dire, ben, voici qu'est-ce qu'on fait. Venez voir. Vous allez aimer ça. Vous allez pouvoir participer. Comme à l'Halloween, tu sais, mes 15-16 ans, ben, ils courent plus l'Halloween ou moins, en tout cas. Fait qu'on dit, ben, pourquoi est-ce qu'on redonne pas des bonbons à la communauté? Fait que je suis aussi dans le comité de la station Embrun. Ça fait que ça, c'est de l'histoire locale. Ça fait que je veux que les jeunes comprennent. Ça fait qu'on aide beaucoup à ce moment-là. Ça fait qu'on a décidé de donner des bonbons en avant de la station Embrun. C'était super fun. J'ai eu peut-être 7-8 jeunes qui sont venus tous déguisés. Ils ont tout installé. On a décoré avec le comité de la station. Fait que c'était le fun. Il était sur le bord de Notre-Dame avec une pancarte. Arrêtez, venez nous voir. Fait que là, c'est une autre chance pour eux aussi de partager qu'est-ce qu'on fait à CTC.
Je crois que c'est très important que les jeunes aient l'opportunité que tu les donnes.
Oui.
Et l'organisation leur donne parce que de sentir qu'il peut avoir un impact positif dans leur communauté, c'est quelque chose qui est très important pour qu'ils comprennent qu'il y a des personnes qui veulent qu'ils soient impliqués.
Oui.
Et que leur créativité, leurs idées peut tomber sur les oreilles de eux qui sont plus âgés et qui peuvent sentir que leurs idées ont du valeur.
Mm-hmm.
Et je vois que tu as plusieurs différents programmes et je veux aussi passer du temps à parler de chaque programme, mais aussi je suis curieux, comment est-ce que tu te gardes organisé avec toutes ces différentes idées?
Ben c'est ça, on a une équipe à Valoris, c'est Valor et Solutions. Fait que eux, c'est une équipe qui ils font de la formation, surtout pour les nouveaux employés. C'est une de leurs... mais aussi, ils sont... c'est vraiment des personnes qui sont formées pour la préparation de projets. Puis, on peut les inviter. Moi, je trouvais que c'était une bonne façon de savoir comment on va dépenser cet bel argent-là qu'on a ramassé. Donc, on s'est rencontrés déjà 2-3 fois. Fait que j'avais peut-être un panel de peut-être une quinzaine de personnes qui... il y en a que c'est des parents de la communauté. J'avais des membres de la communauté, des membres de mon comité de CTC. J'avais des collègues de travail. Fait qu'on s'assied ensemble, puis vraiment, on fait un plan. Puis la personne de Valor est là pour nous diriger. Puis ensuite aussi, à nous comme un beau tableau que j'ai en avant de moi, ensuite, elle nous envoie ça, puis elle met tout en ordre. Puis elle nous dit, tu sais, bon, ben dans les prochains 6 mois, voici qu'est-ce que vous devriez faire pour être capable d'atteindre ce but-là. Puis dans 1 an, ben là, vous allez être rendu là. Ça fait que ça nous situe, puis on peut suivre le plan sans s'envoyer, être un peu partout. Puis comme je dis, moi, je suis une personne d'action. Ça, je vais aller faire plein d'affaires, mais j'ai besoin de quelqu'un pour me centrer et me dire, OK, non, là, dans les prochaines 2 semaines, voici qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire pour nous amener à finalement à finir ce projet-là avant d'en commencer un nouveau. Mais je peux dire qu'on a à peu près 5 projets sur la table comme c'est là, mais ils ont toutes des échéances différentes.
Et pour comment est-ce que tu es devenu connecté à Catch the Ace?
Ah, ça, j'ai été présentée à Catch the Ace plusieurs années passées, je me souviens pas quand. J'ai été présentée à Weekend Club. Qu'est-ce qu'on faisait? Je pense que c'est un ami qui me disait, hey, tu savais-tu que ça existe à Russell? Puis c'est des gens qui sont très impliqués dans la communauté. J'ai dit non. Fait que j'ai envoyé un message, j'ai trouvé le courriel de Doug Anthony, puis j'ai dit est-ce que je peux venir présenter qu'est-ce que je fais à Valoris dans la communauté avec les jeunes. Ça fait que je suis allée faire ça, puis il était tout intéressé, puis il dit si jamais on peut vous aider, on vous laissera savoir. Fait que c'est une des façons que j'ai connu qu'est-ce qu'il faisait, mais aussi j'ai une amie, Marie-Claire Vinsky, qui, elle vendait des sketchs de Catch the Ace sur Facebook, puis je voyais Étienne Brûlé, les grosses affiches, c'est quoi ça? Fait que là, j'ai posé des questions, fait qu'elle dit, c'est super intéressant parce que c'est une bonne façon d'avoir beaucoup de fonds pour les projets que tu aurais à faire. Fait que tu devrais peut-être envoyer comme une demande pour la prochaine fois, que ça t'intéresserait vraiment d'embarquer. C'est ça que j'ai fait. C'est grâce à ma Claire qui m'a dit, ben, vas-y. Puis là, j'ai été rencontrer Kin Club, puis, tu sais, ils disent en anglais, thank God that they picked us. Fait que là, ça fait déjà 3 Catch the Ace qu'on participe, so.
Et qu'est-ce qui était possible parce que tu as cette relation avec ce club? Oui,
ben je veux dire, c'est vraiment le Kin Club qui décide qui garde là, comme fondation, mais je pense qu'ils voient que notre fondation est vraiment locale, vraiment, puis qu'est-ce qu'on fait aussi, c'est très important. Ça fait que je pense qu'ils veulent vraiment que l'argent à des fondations qui s'en servent d'une façon équitable aussi.
Et qu'est-ce que t'es possible parce que tu as commencé d'avoir cette connexion avec Catch the Ace?
Qu'est-ce qui était possible?
Oui.
Ben c'est ça, on a pu acheter beaucoup plus de programmes testés, validés. Un, c'est justement puis là, on a trouvé un autre pour les garçons qui s'appelle Boys Can Run. So, on vient de trouver ça 2 semaines passées. On l'a pas fait l'achat encore. Mais c'est tous des programmes qui viennent des États-Unis. So, bon, il va falloir qu'on s'équipe pour l'acheter. On a, comme je mentionnais tantôt, on a le projet de la bibliothèque sportive qui est débuté. Il y a la journée santé mentale qu'on a commencé à préparer. On a aussi le voyage humanitaire à Squamish. J'espère qu'on va pouvoir faire ça peut-être en 2024. Fait que tout ça, c'est des projets qui demandent beaucoup de sous.
Et alors, ça c'est... Je peux voir comment tu es capable de... Je vais juste le dire en anglais parce que c'est plus facile pour moi. So the projects you were talking about before, I can see how they're very local oriented, but with your involvement with Catch the Ace, these other two programs that you mentioned, I can see how they start to become more creative or kind of adjacent to the path that you're currently taking, you know, going and learning about Aboriginal culture or bringing in the boys element into the project, whereas you had a lot of focus on women and very specific here contemporary projects. So I can see how you can start to really widen the breadth of the experiences that you're providing youth.
Exactly. It permits us to go much farther. And that's what we want. We want teens to be able to see further away. This is what I can do. And maybe if we do that trip in Squamish and then we have some teens that go, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to go study so I can help these communities. Like, that's what we hope, right? So there's always something that happens when you do things like that too in the kids' minds. Like, I did do a trip many years ago. When was it? I think 2019. 2019, I went to Peru with just one kid because we did not have enough money to bring more. So I went with, it was with Valoris and other programs around that are only children's aid based, so protection based. So I joined their team. So I brought that one teenager, a 16-year-old, out, and the other ones, I think we had about 14 kids. So we all did that amazing trip in Peru. And that's why it was very cultural. Yes, we did go work for 2 days building a restaurant with bricks and mortar, but it was the culture that the kids came back and saying, oh my God, they have to live like this. They don't have money. They don't have cell phones. They don't have Wi-Fi. They were like, oh wow, how can they live like this? But they do. And they came back and said, you know what? I think we could survive even if we didn't have all this. So the girl that I did bring, she was going to be an accountant in her mind. She came back and told her parents, nope, I'm going to work with people. So she changed completely. She's in a social work program. She doesn't know exactly what she wants to do. So now she's still studying, but she definitely wants to work with people. So not that I didn't want her to be an accountant. That would have been great too. But I think kids have a chance when we do things like that to really see themselves. What should I be? And what should I do? And again, with, the program I was talking about, the human library, I want kids to realize when they interview a senior, like their passion, and they ask them, what was your passion? Okay, maybe you were a mechanic, but what else were you passionate about? And he goes, well, I was a gardener. I love to garden. I love to grow my own food. So people have different interests. So I want our youth to have like a whole picture of what they want to be and the best of themselves, and try to put themselves in situations where they should be. Last night, we did interview Bill McGinnis. And Bill, is so rich in all his experience. And he talked about the Army and experience in the Army and where he came from, a small village out east Canada. And I had 10 girls sitting around them, and they stopped asking questions because they were so interested in what he was saying. So that's what we want. We want to stimulate that interest. So all the groups, all the stuff that I do, that's what I want to make sure that our teens have their own passion.
There was the previous committees at Town Council. There was the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Equity Committee. And I went there to try to help out with the Human Library Project, because when I came back halfway through the pandemic, I heard about it and I knew all about it. I've seen how it started off in New York and it spread around the world. And I really wanted to take part, but it didn't really move forward that much. But if you ever have the opportunity to have people sit down and you guys want to have it recorded, we can record it here so that way other people can watch it as well and benefit from those conversations. Like I do want to contribute.
Yeah, I think the teens are ready. They're at that point right now that they want to bring this forward and to make connections with the township, with the libraries, and to reach more people. Because it's a Prescott Russell wide. It's not just here.
Yeah.
We want to bring it further.
And so what, you mentioned the girl who changed from being an accountant to wanting to help people. Are there other transformations that you've seen take place?
Well, there was one group that I still give. I haven't given it this fall yet because I didn't have time. There's only so many hours in a day or evenings, but it's called Friends, Amis pour la vie en français. And that program is amazing. It's very simple. Again, it's another tested value. It's a very simple program where kids get together. And it's supposed to help with anxieties. It's a prevention program. Like I'm not a therapist. I don't do therapy. It's all prevention. So the kids love it. They love it so much. And then when they finish their 9 weeks, once a week, they want to do it again. Half the time. So I ended up saying, okay, so if I have 8 kids doing Friends from September to December, 2 of you will go on to the next one that we do in January. But you'll be the leaders to help the new kids. So yes, you will be doing the same games, the same, all the stuff that we learn and how to practice to be able to, the anxiety is not taking over, but you will be helping them. And we've had 2 kids in the last year, that I'm talking about a child who's 12 years old, cannot go to school, has difficulty making friends, is really stuck. Like, that's what I call stuck, because she couldn't participate in stuff that she wanted to. And, well, after a couple sessions already, she was feeling better. And she went on through the whole Friends. And she is one that decided she wanted to do it again. So when she went to that extra step after and became a leader for the next group, I saw the leadership possibilities in that kid. And now she's joined my other group, even though she's young. Usually the human library one is from 14 to 17 because it's aimed to do volunteer work in the community. But we'll take the 12, 13-year-olds if they're mature enough to be there. So she joined and she blossomed. She goes to school all the time. She doesn't have any issues anymore with not being able to control her anxiety. We did go to a trip last March, and that was at the end of the second Friends group that she did. And we went sliding and she goes, "Oh, I want to go, but I can't spend 2.5 hours in a bus." I said, "Well, nobody likes to spend 2.5 hours in a bus." But she's, "Okay, well, I'll try it." I said, "Well, we'll have somebody sit beside you. One of our students will be there to hold your hand. And if there's something that bothers you, but you play games on the bus, we'll talk about stuff and we'll stop halfway. You can get out, breathe some fresh air." And when we did that, we did stop and just past Hawkesbury. She goes, "Okay, can you call my mom? She can come get me?" I said, "No, nobody's going to come get you. You're going to go back on the bus. You'll be fine. Just practice all the things we said last night that will help you to stay on the bus and be able to go to this nice activity." And she did. And she did it. And when we got there, I don't like heights. And I told her, I said, "I'll go with you in one of those big slides. I don't like it. I don't have anxiety about it, but I do not like it. But I will do it for you. Just to show you that even if you're older and if you lived your whole life, you still have issues with things." So I did, and I screamed the whole way down. And she goes, "You were really scared?" I said, "Yes, of course I was. I don't like these things, but I'll do them because it's important to do stuff that you don't like or you're uncomfortable doing to grow." So she figured out, well, you know what? You can do it and you're older and I'm only 12 and I can do this. And yes, because by the time you're my age, you won't have any more issues. So there's a lot of kids like that are able to go on just because they participate in this small little group that changed their path, you know.
Ça, c'est formidable.
Oui.
J'ai des conversations avec des personnes où je leur demande s'il y a des idées de qu'est-ce que les enfants peuvent faire alentour ici pour développer l'habilité d'avoir l'endurance. Like, en anglais, je veux dire grit. Et l'habilité de trouver des différentes manières de prendre soin de leur
Anxiété.
Anxiété. OK. Je peux prendre le français.
On a de l'anxiété de savoir
comment dire le mot.
Oui.
Et tout je pouvais penser c'était les sports, mais des fois ça c'est stressant. Et les arts martiaux.
C'est bon ça.
Et courir.
Oui.
Mais maintenant, je trouve qu'il y a d'autres programmes aussi. Et qu'est-ce que tu parles de, c'est exactement de qu'est-ce que je veux découvrir dans notre communauté, toutes les différentes manières que personne peut avoir l'habilité d'être courageux dans des petites manières, que ça peut être quelque chose qui va développer, c'est ça le mot? Leur manière de devenir un adulte qui est plus mature et qui ont l'intérêt de participer dans la communauté.
C'est ça. C'est ça. Puis l'été aussi, une fois par semaine, on donne des cours de cuisine. C'est des cours de base. Le centre de l'Estrie, ils nous avaient partagé plein de belles recettes qu'on peut faire. Ça fait qu'on fait ça encore en petits groupes. Puis pendant qu'ils font de la cuisine, ils discutent entre eux autres. Puis il faut qu'ils travaillent ensemble, toujours par petits groupes de 2, 3. Fait que de travailler en mini-groupe. Je sais qu'ils font ça à l'école aussi, mais c'est juste que ça approfondit encore plus les connaissances. Et ils se rencontrent des nouveaux amis parce que c'est pas comme à l'école que tu es toujours avec le même monde. Ça fait que il y a des jeunes de Russell, des jeunes de Marionville, Saint-Albert, un peu partout. Moi, ici, mon programme que je couvre de Saint-Isidore jusqu'à Marionville. Tandis que ma collègue à Rockland, elle va faire Bourget, Clarence, ça, puis Hawkesbury, Wendover. Fait qu'on a nos territoires distincts. Fait que les gens ont la chance de rencontrer d'autres mondes. Puis les jeudis, là, durant COVID, on n'a pas pu faire rien de ça. Ça fait que cet été, on a recommencé. Puis parce qu'on avait l'opportunité d'avoir tous ces fonds-là, on n'a pas chargé à rien. On a payé les autobus, on a payé les entrées pour les jeunes. Il n'y avait pas de jugement comme on va payer juste pour toi parce que tous tes parents n'ont pas d'argent. Puis fait que beaucoup de parents ont fait des dons. Parce qu'ils disent, mais ça n'a pas de sens, comme vous payez vraiment pour les programmes. J'ai dit, oui, premièrement, on a toujours des rabais, mais c'est pour vous qu'on fait ça. C'est très important pour un adolescent d'aller en excursion avec ses amis ou rencontrer des nouveaux amis. Ça fait qu'on a fait beaucoup de ça, puis on avait des listes d'attente. On a sorti la programmation fin mai, début juin, puis une semaine plus tard, c'était plein. Puis là, on avait une liste d'attente. Puis là, s'il y avait des gens, là, on disait aux jeunes, si vous pouvez pas venir, s'il vous plaît, nous laisser savoir parce que il y a plein d'autres gens qui veulent y aller. On a d'autres jeunes qui veulent amener un autre ami. Ça fait que, je veux dire, on aurait pu avoir on se limitait à un autobus par semaine quand on faisait les sorties, mais on aurait pu en avoir 3, 4, là. Mais manque de personnel aussi parce qu'on veut que les enfants aient vraiment des bons modèles. Donc, on avait des bons bénévoles de 17 ans et plus, soit du collège, université. On avait du personnel de Valoris qui pouvait être là pour aider. J'ai 3 étudiants d'été qu'on peut engager pour aider aussi. Encore là, eux, c'est un début de carrière parce qu'ils savent, si tu viens travailler comme étudiant à Valoris, les chances que tu vas avoir un emploi plein temps après sont très grandes. Parce que c'est comme ça que tu te fais connaître. Puis tu peux prouver que tu es capable de faire ça. Quand tu as fini ton bac ou ta maîtrise, puis tu veux revenir, oui, elle a fait du bénévolat pendant tant d'années, ou elle a travaillé 3-4 étés. So, c'est beaucoup plus facile à ce moment-là quand ils regardent, parce que, tu sais, à un moment donné, tout le monde va avoir un bac, tout le monde va avoir une maîtrise. Mais quoi d'autre que ce que tu as à apporter à la table? Puis c'est ça que je dis aux jeunes. C'est important, l'expérience que vous avez, même quand vous avez 12-13 ans. Vous êtes en train de bâtir votre expérience pour un emploi futur. So, tout ça aussi, c'est important.
Comme moi, j'ai eu des emplois où j'ai travaillé pour 1 année ou 2 années et j'ai eu des opportunités de travail volontaire, quelque chose de différent. Ouais. Et la qualité de la référence pour le prochain emploi que je vais avoir, des fois, c'est très différent. c'est très différent la qualité parce que des fois, quand tu travailles pour quelque chose, tu fais ton travail comme tu n'as pas beaucoup de temps d'avoir une relation, de savoir la personne ou eux de vous savoir. Et quand t'es parti, ils ne pensent pas de toi parce que tu es juste quelqu'un que tu es juste un parti de la machine, des fois.
Exactement.
Et de demander eux pour la référence pour le prochain emploi, ils sont peut-être pas intéressés, ils sont trop occupés à faire d'autres choses. Mais avec des situations volontaires de bénévoles, parce que c'est l'énergie, c'est différent, la motivation, c'est différent, la connexion, c'est différent. Et des fois, eux peuvent parler de ton caractère, le style de personne que vous êtes, votre dédication, c'est ça le mot? Parce que si tu es payé d'y aller quelque part, c'est différent que si vous choisissez d'y aller.
C'est ça.
Et ça peut faire une différence majeure quand tu veux y aller pour une position et peut-être, spécialement quand tu commences ta carrière ou qu'est-ce que tu veux faire parce que vous avez comme le même montant d'expérience que l'autre personne, peut-être moins que 5 années ou quelque chose comme ça. Mais si quelqu'un peut parler de leur expérience de travailler avec toi sur ces projets que tu parles, ça peut faire la différence.
Oui, c'est ça que j'espère pouvoir to instill in our youth, you know, because that's what you need to do. You need to have experience in your life to know exactly who you are, what you want to be, and how you give back. And yes, hopefully you'll have a nice paying job that you love. And when you retire or don't retire and keep going like I am, it's because you want to and because you love it. I can't really see the day that I'm going to retire right now because the more I work, the more my job gets interesting. So why would I stop and stay home and do what? What else could I do? I'm in my community. I do what I can when I want to. I have time for my grandkids. It's a flexible work day that I have that I'm able to do everything. So whether I work or not work, I probably do the same thing. And like you say, not get paid for it anymore. So I don't see it as a paying job. I see it like this is my career and this is my passion. And I hope to be able to continue and make sure that I have other people that want to do what I do.
I really like that some of your programs have that leadership capability where they can then teach the next generation.
Yeah.
And what would you say have been some of the things that have been consistent that you've noticed with youth within this township and the surrounding regions of the problems and challenges they've been dealing with in life and what's been helping them versus what you've noticed has been changing, what's kind of new?
Well, like during COVID, we had to do a lot of virtual, and I found that there wasn't the best way for them to learn because they need to be together. They really missed being in a group. Even a virtual group and a real group is not the same thing. For some kids, it helped because we did have a lot of the younger ones, like 11, 12-year-olds that were happy to be doing it virtual. They didn't have to get involved. But I found that it didn't give them the opportunity to really get the full outlook on what they needed to learn. So I see these kids now, and they came back to do another group, présentiel, pas virtuel. So the virtual was okay for some kids, but for others, they just didn't want it at all, or they didn't see the need. So like right now, I hope we stay the way we are now because we're progressing to like all the new groups that we're in trying to create or to do with our kids are really amazing. Like parents, like we get emails all the time. Parents, you don't know what your group did to my child. He's changed. He's really, really a different kid now in a good way. Even just the outings in the summer. Oh my God, they made so many friends. It's not just virtual friends; they're real friends. They're kids that One lady says, "I go pick up a kid in Rockland for the weekend to come and spend time with us because you guys did a leadership camp together, and they're friends now." So you want to broaden kids' horizons, right? So les horizons plus ouverts.
And what are some of the What are some of the challenges that families and youth have in getting and staying involved in this program?
Well, transportation is one. Like, because we do or are able to hire volunteer drivers. So, but I mean, they're only paid their kilometers. So, and the price of gas, not everybody wants to do it anymore because it's expensive. And parents that work are not always able to be home at a certain time to drive their kid to a group. So that's a challenge. That's why we do it in different communities also. So it's not so far for everybody. But even then, that's a big challenge. And couples also that, they don't always live together. So the child is when one parent 1 week, but he's the another parent the next week, but they don't live in the same town. So that's another challenge. Okay, how am I going to get my kid to the group if he's not? So transportation. Mm-hmm. And, well, we have to live with that. We're in the country, so we're not in the city. So, but even then, I doubt if parents would I have no idea how kids in the city, how they operate, if they take the bus on their own at 10-year-old, 11-year-old, but that is a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And, well, I know there's also, in the city, it's sometimes a little bit easier to bike.
Yeah, well, they actually, where we're situated at Valoris, they bike. The bike path is really good for that, and they walk also. But it's a safe way to come, as long as it's not at night. I wouldn't want a kid to walk alone at night. But there we have some kids in the summer that biked a lot. So that was either from Russell or from Emblem. They can reach us. We're pretty much in the middle.
Yeah.
So... It's Limoges is a little bit further in Castleman, but for the local kids, it's pretty easy to bike.
And what would you say? You have you were mentioning some of the programs, but if we could go over them again, there's sports library, there's the human library, there's the girls can run. And
boys can run later on this winter.
And then there was the Friends one,
Friends, these Amis pour la vie. That's another one that we were actually giving in school, but we're not anymore because we didn't. When COVID hit, we stopped doing that. So we do it at an after-school program. Some schools now have called us back and say that they do want us to go back in. So I think right now in the Hawkesbury, Vankleek-Kilray area, I think they did start one in school. So that's ongoing also. Healthy relationships is good for high school kids. So probably in January, when I have more time, another evening that's free, at least once a month, we had this group that was called Keep Calm and Change the World. So that's basically an everything group. So it's an open group. So if you're a youth at 15-year-old, but you can't come all the time, you can come when you want to. You don't have to sign up. So that's a good open group, and it's a lot of discussions of leadership and qualities in a youth. So, and again, any project they want to bring up, we discuss it and we try to make it happen. So those are basically the groups that are running right now.
Okay. And how did the sports library come around?
Well, the sports library came around because we needed bikes sometimes when you wanted, in the summer to go from one place to another. So then I said, well, let's just start with bikes that people can donate. And so we started with that. I said, okay, well, now that we have some funds, why don't we buy some equipment? Like I think we have 10 pairs of snowshoes, because you can do that on the bike path or in the field or in the rose forest, so we try to buy stuff like that are easy. Now, because we have the tennis right beside Valoris' office, then also we bought obviously some tennis rackets and pickleball and basketballs. And that park is amazing, by the way. When we do the Girls on the Run, we go there, we use the adult part as a circuit to train, and then we can go in the dome. We bought some passes so that the girls can go and run and train, because we will do a 5K run on November 19th with other people from Ottawa. So I think we're doing it in the Orleans area.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And what other needs do you have besides just raising funds for your organization so it can run better and have more services?
Well, so far that's where we're centering, like I think, we did talk about the trip before also, but that's where we're spending most of our money right now. And it's amazing how much you can spend money easily when you have it. So you have to be careful. And this is why I always follow my path. So I make sure that all the money goes to the right place where it should be, and we're not wasting anything.
Do you guys have enough volunteers?
Yeah, volunteers, it comes by itself. Like an example, last week I was selling tickets with Bill at Foodland, and it was the Purple Day, kids all wear it. So I had my shirt on and explained what it was, a protection of children. And one lady came around and she said, "Oh, I know what that is. I was a youth in care, but in the Ottawa region, and I know about your programs and stuff. And now I live in the area here, and I would love to come and find out more what Valoris does." I said, "Okay, tomorrow morning, let's set up a time. We'll do a phone chat and we'll get together." Well, she did. And last night she came to one of our groups. So she's a 20-ish girl that lives in a community here now, because her boyfriend lives here and with his family. And so she knows all about, having trouble when you're young and what you need. So she was amazed by the group last night and the girls. And I think she'll really be a good volunteer for us. And hopefully, and she's studying right now. So she wants to work with kids with special needs. So we do have that part of Valoris. So hopefully she'll come and work for Valoris when she's done her schooling.
And you were talking also about a program in which the youth were collaborating with the elderly?
Yes. Well, like I said, that one of the aspects is interviewing the elderly to talk about their experience of life.
That's for the human
librarians.
Okay.
But we also, there's another aspect we haven't started yet. But we were thinking, what about matching also, we saw this movie together. I had seen it on Netflix, and I made the girls watch some clips out of it. And they looked and they said, that would be cool. So you basically match a teen with a senior who doesn't have family around or doesn't have a lot of visits, and they see each other when they want. So like a big brother, big sister, but for the elderly. So that's the next step that we'd like to do. We haven't started that one yet because we didn't have the time or the resources to do it. But that's something that doesn't cost anything. But I think it will be a great value to both, like a teen and a senior. So there's all these things that run in my head.
I'm absolutely grateful that we're having this conversation, because these are things that I also think constantly about, of how can we get youth engaged, involved in the community, help them have leadership skills, help the elderly feel more connected to the younger generation, because there's a lot of things that separate them, so that we ultimately can have a greater sense of community. And I'm so glad to learn about all these different programs. I'm very interested in trying to figure out how I can better help. I'm glad that we're doing this, and eventually we'll do a video to promote it on Catch the Ace and continue to do that. And it's fantastic that there's things like this. I don't know if this even existed when I was young and around, but I was in Scouts and Cubs, and that's what was keeping. That's
the same kind of the Scouts are very community based also. So that's also a very good program. So I think C'est ta communauté, Valoris adopted that about 15 years ago.
Okay, so
that specific program.
Yeah. I might have been out of the community by that point.
Yeah. So it's well known, like with kids, when we say CTC, everybody knows what it is, mostly, unless you're new to the community. So when we go in the schools and try to we're going to start a new group, or this is what we're going to do this summer, or teachers and principals have no hesitation to, oh yeah, sure, we'll promote this for you. We'll let people know all about it. So.
And Are there any schools that you don't have access to, or is it all?
No, all schools are very, in the Hawkesbury area, my colleague does Lion's Quest. That was one of the first programs we adopted. So far, it's only given in from Vankleekil to Hawkesbury in that area, just because the teachers decided to adopt that program. It's very similar to Friends, but it's run all year. So the teacher can incorporate all these abilities and these games and everything, that it's all organized, but they can do like half hour a week. So there's like 8 different stages that they can do. So that still runs in the Hawkesbury area. So different regions, we have different vibes. It depends what the community wants. Here in Russell Township, they want action. Like kids participate a lot and parents want their kids involved. And that's what we try to give them. So this is my plan for Russell Township. Well, actually Russell, not just Township, Russell County, because that's what I serve. So Rockland might have a different view of things. But Rockland now, they have the hub. So Hub Jeunesse, which is kind of neat because it's all a bunch of agencies together who created a hub, a place to go to get services. So hopefully that's another thing that we do have in the back burner for Russell Township. Because when I first started this program, and can't remember when, 10 years back, in Castleman, the township let us use a facility to be able to have twice a week an after-school program. So kids could come get help for homework. They could come and meet a worker, not necessarily have a worker from Valoris, but somebody to talk to. So we ran that program for about 5 years until the building was no longer to code and we had to leave. So, but things like that, kids want. They want a place to go and to belong to. So we try to create that in our groups anyways, but I think it's important to them to have one space. I know Russell used to have the youth club in Russell. So I don't think it's running anymore, but.
And so now was that being provided at the school? You guys don't have a location for that service anymore?
No, wasn't at school. This was outside of school. Okay. This was like after school, a place for kids to go.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with school, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the one in Rockland now, what did I call it again? I forget.
The hub?
The hub is also after school. Like, it's not to do with schools. It's different agencies that give services.
So they have to leave the school, go to a new location, basically.
Yeah, but it's close to a school. So we always put it close to a place where kids can easily have access. So.
And now there isn't one in Russell?
No, we don't have the...
And do you have one?
Russell Youth Center, it was called. And it was right near, I think it was Saint Joseph School, or maybe, between Saint Joseph and Russell High School. And
Embrun, do they have...
No, not right now.
Okay.
No. So hopefully, maybe in the new sportsplex.
Well, there's that too. Well, Camille Pichet is pretty much empty most of the time as well.
Yeah, but again, I think if we're going to start something, we're going to have something that would be more permanent. Okay. Because I think Camille Pichet will eventually be a library, I hear.
Yeah, that'll be in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. But
because that won't start to really happen until the community center is set up with the sportsplex. Mm-hmm. So that could be from as quickly as 4 years from now to as long as 7 years from now.
But like I say, with our groups, what we do, and we have really nice space that we can use at Valoris, and it works out great for now.
Oh, okay.
So our needs are met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because our groups are mostly always done there. So.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to going and seeing that space when.
Oh, sure. We'll invite you for sure, and come and see one of our groups. And Fondation Valoris do a lot of other things too. Not just this is just my program.
Okay.
But we have a lot of other things that they do with the money that they raise.
Okay.
So, and this time with Catch the Ace, because I only did it for my program for here, but this third phase of the Catch the Ace, I invited my 2 colleagues from Rockland and Hawkesbury, and also Fondation Valoris at large. So right now I'm involved in Les Lutins de Noël. So all communities in Prescott Russell receive these little tags with their actually kids' names on it. And they correspond to a number. Obviously, I can't say Eric is really Eric. It's because we don't want to, the confidentiality is important. But you pick up a tag and you go shopping for this child, bring back the gift, and we distribute the gifts for Christmas. And it's given to the families in a good way. Like, basically, the family, we give them a gift, and it doesn't say it comes from Valoris. It comes from the family or the community. It's the family decides how they, this is Santa giving you a gift, or depending on their culture. And so they do that. So they need to raise money for that. So they're doing a run. It's called the Lutin Run. I forget the name. I didn't bring the documentation, but that's on November 19th on the bike path.
Okay.
So that's another fundraiser they're doing for that. We also give back in grade 12, lots of sponsorships for school after. So again, the kids that are picked are kids that want to study in social work, psychology, anything that's connecting with what we do. So, yeah.
This is amazing. I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. I did not know.
It's very wide. We do a lot.
Yeah. And amazing stuff too, and very creative. And it varies from all the different types of libraries that you have.
Yeah.
The small friendship programs to the leadership programs, and wanting to expand out to experiencing different cultural perspectives. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, what do you know of any other programs that Valoris is currently offering?
Oh, and we could be here another 3 hours.
Really? So then if people want to find out, they would go to...
Yeah, we have a 1-800 number that they can call for information. We also have a website, and all the information is there by sections. Like, if they would find out more about CTC, they click on it and they'll say, what we did in the summer. Oh my God, that's what they did. What they're going to do in the fall. What did we do last winter? What we're going to do this winter. Same thing with other services. Like, if you need services of mental health for your teens, how can you get, you can get maybe a 4-week follow-up with a worker. How do I... And also, we have the protection, c'est le côté de la protection. So, si les gens ont besoin d'aide, tu peux appeler pour avoir de l'aide. C'est pas juste nous qui va aller chez vous pour dire, on a eu un appel, faut aller vérifier qu'est-ce qui se passe. Tu as besoin d'aide, t'appelles. On est là pour aider. So, les familles peuvent appeler le 1-800-675-6168. Et puis, il y a quelqu'un qui répond 24 sur 7. So, de 8h à 4h, il parle à une personne de Valoris. De 24/7, il y a un système d'appel. Il y a toujours une personne encore qui rappelle la personne dépendant de ses besoins. So it's 24/7 that people can call and get help. And that's through the whole township. The whole Prescott Russell. Same number. Yeah.
And so do you have just the focus for Prescott Russell, or do you guys plan on expanding to other areas?
No, it's an agency for Prescott Russell. Okay. So that's who we serve. Okay. SDNG, they have their own agencies. Ottawa have their own agencies. So we do communicate with each other, obviously, but the services are not amalgamated like we have. So they have adult services, they have children's services, they have protection services. Everything is separated, distinct, not all together. So we have a chance that, our county decided to let's put all this together. And it made a lot of sense. I was part of that at that time, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work. You're used to working with your little, but it opened doors for a lot of people that were working on all those 5 different agencies. And you develop different interests. Like, I was working with families with kids with disabilities, so I would have continued doing that. I loved it. But at one point in your career, it's good to change and do something else, just so your passion comes back, I have kids coming to my groups who are like in need of help. And, every kid is allowed to come. We do not, it's not just a kid getting services from Valoris. It's any kid, my program from 11 to 17. That's the age group that we serve. So whether you're in a foster home, where you live at home, you live with grandma and grandpa, it doesn't matter. We'll get you there.
I've been talking to a lot of people about the idea of dances, because there haven't been that many dances in the area. And every youth I've been talking to has been really fascinated in something like that. I know Optimist sometimes has some dances that they host. Do you know of any other organizations?
Well, we did it for a while. When I first started this, we did the dances at La Croisée with my volunteers. Then I just ran the volunteer program, actually. I didn't even have this program. I just recruited volunteers for more like a big brother, big sister and some community events. So we decided to do once a month. So we did the grade 5 and 6 dances at La Croisée. And that was good for a while. We had a lot of kids coming and lots of interest. It's now I see the schools do it. Like for Halloween, the school did it. Like all the kids from the whole school were invited at different times, depending what age group they were at. So apparently there was so many kids because, kids like it, right? Mm-hmm. So they said they had more kids participating than they can remember.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not too sure about high school. We did try to grade 7 and 8 at one point, and kids weren't coming. So we stopped doing it. So again, these are projects that our kids, the leaders, if they want to do it, we'll support them, So that's about leadership.
Yeah.
So you have an idea? You want to do it? Okay, let's make it happen.
What are some ideas and projects that you've had to put on the back burner?
Not too much, actually. Like we try them. I'm not saying they're always going to work, but whatever ideas kids come up with, we try them. For a while, they really wanted to help with animals. And again, that's hard to do because, you have to work with shelters and we had to go with the dog park. So there's security involved and all that stuff. A couple summers ago, before COVID, we did take the kids into Ottawa to see the shelters for people. And that was an eye-opener. But again, they're limited in what they can do. They can help in the kitchen, but they can't really do anything else because they're kids, right? But just the experience to go see how people live and why did they get like that? Like why don't they have an apartment? And why do they choose to live on the street? Some people choose, some people don't, but some people do choose. And so all that understanding for teens, it's good to know, like they need to know.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before how your father was in politics and your mom was a teacher, and they were both very community oriented. Do you have any specific memories or experiences that really kind of solidified that value for you?
Well, my parents were out all the time in the township. So I often went when I could, but I just saw so many like activity my whole teenage life. Like it was like, that's it. That's how we live. To me, it's normal because I've always done that. So I tried to, when I was in high school, I was on the high school committee and we did do dances, and that's how I met my husband. So there were a committee of 3-4 girls, and we hired this band. And we had no idea if they were good or not, but we thought the guys were cute. So ended up, they were cute and good. So they came back to Embrun, like that was in grade 12. So they came back in Embrun, like way after I wasn't even there anymore. I went to college, Algonquin in Ottawa. So, but that band still came to play in Embrun. So yeah, I was always involved in my, I taught dance actually in grade 10 because they wanted just kids to teach kids. So I was taking dance lessons before, and I said, okay, well, I'll do it. So me and a friend, we set it up. So after school, we were giving, dances. Like back then they used to call it jazz. Now it's hip hop and whatever else, but stuff like that. So I've basically always done this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like engaging with people and leading people and getting them together and doing things is kind of like, we've been doing that forever.
Oh, yeah.
how do you find your approach has changed over the years?
I don't think my approach has changed. I think I've been like this my whole life.
There's no tools that have made it easier or...
Well, obviously, you know, all the education and more and more stuff you do, you learn all the time. Like, I like to learn new things all the time. I went to a conference one time in Montreal way back, at least 25 years ago, and it was more for teachers, but I decided to go anyways because it looked interesting. And I came back from that conference with just one thing. Back then it was how to teach kids that don't want to learn or difficulty and certain, because it was for schools. It's okay, well, a kid's not good in math. What are you going to do? And one speaker just said, you know what? Teach them something new. And that's my philosophy since then. Teach them something new. So if you can't do math, I'm terrible at math. My mom was a math teacher. I was more like my dad, very social, very love languages. Like I was so excited when in grade 12 I could learn Spanish because it's the first language that was introduced in Embrun at the high school. We didn't have languages. I had Latin in grade 9 and I loved it. Nobody else loves Latin. But I figured, you know, this is the base for all the languages. So basically the same thing. So teach them something new. And that's what I always tell the kids too. You're here to learn about yourself, new things about yourself, new things about other people. And it doesn't matter if you can't do something. You can learn or you can do something else that'll help you learn this. Now, they say if you take music, it'll help with math. Well, it's basically the same kind of thing, right?
And so what have you learned that's new as a result of being around the youth?
I love being with youth. I thought when I was younger and when I went to study, I thought I wanted to work with little kids, like babies. And I wanted to be a nurse and I wanted to and then now I love babies, I love kids, but I love the youth, the teens, because they're at the crossroads of their lives. And maybe because I'm older too, like right now for the last 10 years, I really like to work with teens. I don't care if you have behaviors. I don't care if you think you can't do something. I will try to help you. And so that's changed. So maybe I'll stay that route or I'll do something else. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And have you noticed the needs of youth within the community has changed over the years?
Well, it's different because they have other ways to learn things. They have Google search.
Yeah.
They have parents. More parents are more educated now, and they want their kids to be educated, where before it wasn't that important. And also now, I think what I've noticed change in youth is that they say it's okay to be in a trade also. You don't all have to be going to university because everybody is just as important. So my inclusion group, I always teach them that too. It's whatever you want to be and whatever you're good at and how you can make a good life for yourself. So it doesn't matter where you study or what you study. We need every kind of human on this earth. So
do you think that there's a need for training colleges of some sort within the surrounding townships within Prescott Russell?
I don't know. I think they're pretty good access to Ottawa and everything. There is some too in Hawkesbury and that area. So I don't see the kids saying, "Oh, I want to study in Prescott Russell." Like that's not a common demand from them.
They like the idea of being able to leave the township to go learn.
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah. I did.
Yeah.
I moved away for a couple of years and I loved it. But I came back, but didn't go very far. It was just in Ottawa, but it's a good experience sometimes to leave home and or go study somewhere else. So.
What about how this is something that came up a lot during the election when I was talking to people when I was running affordable housing and diverse housing. I know there's that strong desire for you to just go and leave and discover themselves and go abroad and stuff like that. But the idea of them coming back, or for those who do want to stay in the township, has housing ever been an issue that you've heard come up?
Well, it's not really my place to discuss that. I'm busy enough with all other stuff, but I know there's not enough rental spaces, that's for sure, in Prescott Russell, like affordable rental. But I see builders now really trying at least to build more spaces to rent, where before there wasn't any. And all the places that are run down that need to be cleaned up are on their way. Mm-hmm. So that's important too. You don't want people to rent something that's not safe.
Yeah.
So.
And when it comes to capacity for the amount of youth you can bring on, like where are you about?
Oh, I can bring a lot more.
Oh, like, yeah. So you got plenty of space.
Oh, yeah. We can just hire more students to help. And we're okay.
Okay. And what have you found have been some of the best ways to get people involved? Has it been going to schools or?
Well, a lot of social media. We advertise there. Word of mouth. Like we always entice kids, bring a friend. So that usually works a lot. So once they like something, they'll say, oh, yeah, you should go to that group. It's fun. We learn a lot of things.
Okay. And you were saying that you had volunteers who go and pick people up and bring them to...
Drivers, yeah.
Okay. And is that something that it's for only special occasions or it can happen on a regular basis?
It's it's used for kids that Valoris needs to transport from one place to another. But I use it too because I can use my funds to pay for it, because Valoris won't pay for a kid in the community who needs a ride to come to a group. But I can do that. Mm-hmm. So like I say, it's just the kilometers. These drivers are all volunteers. And
when I was doing the interviews for the candidates for the election,
I listened to them. That was good. It was a good way for us to get the full, potential, everybody, what they had to say. And
the nuances of their positions and what they thought and felt about certain things. Mm-hmm. And I think they played the whole interviews. So I can ask Denis if he's going to be playing the whole length of these on. If he needs me to break them up, I can break them up as well. And he sometimes does that too, where he just chunks it into like 20 bits.
Well, it's good because I didn't even know we had that.
Yeah.
So I know there's a radio station in Castleman, but I didn't know that we had one. So that's great. They're progressing.
Yeah. 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 I haven't seen anything like this in the community yet of just the opportunity for people to really just get into the weeds of what it is that they're working on. And how they want people to get involved.
It's a good platform, like anything new we want to bring up. Like I'm thinking of all other stuff that Valoris does that they're trying to plug in the community. Like I know, obviously, they're trying to get more and more employees, but there's so many other aspects of the work that they need people to know about.
Absolutely. And I know for myself personally, a lot of the things you've been talking about are things that I've been thinking about and having casual conversations with, like, oh, I think this would be cool. And I think this would be cool. And I'm really concerned about youth for these things.
Yeah.
But you're addressing the vast majority of them. And I just never knew about it.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, is I find that when you look and you learn about something on a website or social media versus something like this, I find it's far more personable.
Oh, yeah,
sure. It requires a different type of commitment to sit down and watch this or to listen to it. But when you do, you have such a deeper connection to it. Mm-hmm. So that's also another hope of mine, is that when somebody hears about this or watches it, that they feel far more comfortable going and approaching and understanding that there's so many different options for them.
Exactly.
And also when I find sometimes when you're reading something, if it's sometimes easier to misinterpret how you can see yourself in it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whereas in conversations, especially the stories, the personal stories you shared of growth and stuff like that, those are so important. Mm-hmm. And I definitely want to help with the future videos that I'll be making with you guys to really highlight that, so you can advertise it on the site and on Catch the Ace and everything like that. Because this is absolutely amazing. I'm definitely going to be talking to people about trying to get involved and checking you guys out. And the fact that you're bilingual makes it even easier. So that way it's very approachable. And you're saying the age group is from 14 to 17?
Well, my program is 11 to 17.
11 to 17.
But the different groups are different age groups.
Yes. Okay.
Like the Girls on the Run, Heart and Soul, that's 11 to 13. Where my the other group that I do in inclusion, like RDE, it's 14 to 17. And then the 18-year-olds, a lot of them 18, 19-year-olds that I had that used to be in my groups are now volunteers because they stick around to help others. And that's what you want. You want them to stay and come back and help other kids.
And usually the time commitments are what time in the evenings?
Well, it depends on different times of different groups, but I never really start the groups before 4 o'clock. So between 4 and 8 is usually times that, because not all schools have the same hours. So some finish at 2:30, but others, like especially in Russell, some of the schools finish at 4 or close to 4. So we want every kid to be able to come. So we reevaluate the times depending who's there. So let's say if I had all kids that finished school at 2:30, well, I could start a program at 3 without a problem,
Yeah.
So.
And what I like about the fact that you're involved with Catch the Ace, it means that if somebody wants to donate, they can donate in a way that also they can win.
Exactly.
So there's that fun.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
We actually, when we did our path, and I did send you a copy, it's called We Can Win instead of We Can Win, because we thought, that's cute and it's catchy and everybody can win. Everybody can win because they participate in these programs, but also if you buy a ticket and you make money, you could win money, but you also, that your money that you did donate or didn't win money went to a proper cause. So I really like that title, We Can Win.
Yeah. I recently did a pumpkin fest. At Yahoo Park.
I saw that. That was you? I saw that. Yeah.
So we did something similar to that. It was Pumpkin Fest. So
there you go.
I totally understand where you're going with that.
Yeah, it's a good way to plug it in, and it's such a great organization. Like they're really there to help the community to get the funds to be able to do what they want to do. Like that's simple. And they have a good philosophy and lots of good people to work.
So I'm curious to know what you were involved with before Valoris and how Valoris was created. Was it created?
Oh, yeah. So, well, I'll go way back in 1976. So I graduated in 75, went to work in Smiths Falls for 6 months. Back then there was, because I still had that thing, I wanted to be a nurse, but I was a social worker. So I went to work at the hospital there. It was a hospital, Rideau Regional Center. You're too young to know all about that, but it was 2,000 kids living there. 2,000.
Wow. When
it first formed. In 75, I'm not sure how many were left, but it was still huge. So every kid that was born or was young and had some difficulty, whether it was physical, mental, or whatever, parents used to give them away. And you put them somewhere. Well, you have to have a place to put them. So Rideau Regional was one center like that. And it was all divided by wings. So there was the education ward, there was the behavior mod ward, it was so separated. And, but that experience for me, was really what built what I wanted to do, because I did not want that. I did not want to work only with kids with behaviors and only with kids with autism and only with kids. Because I had that 6 months there, when I saw all that, it really gave me an outlook on life. And that's what I did not want to do, And now it's closed, finally. All the kids have been went back to their families or living in community somewhere. And so that was quite a history. So when I came back here in February, and that's why I left Smiths Falls, there was a project. They hired 2 of us, me and another girl that I knew from Hawkesbury. And we basically did a research all through Prescott Russell. So we knocked on doors. We had a little bit of a list to start. It was mostly to find out where the adults with disabilities lived and what they needed as services. So we did that for 2 months. Comme un recensement. That was an eye-opener. Found families that I knew that I had no idea that they had a member of their family with difficulties. And then people would tell us, oh, you should go see that lady that lives down that street over there. I'm not sure what the address is, but it's the blue house when you turn the corner. It was amazing how people wanted help. So then we put this project together. We submitted it to the government. And that's where back then, AICPR, they used to call it, Association for, I don't want to say all the letters because we don't use those words anymore. But basically, adults with disabilities needed help. So I worked with them when we opened up a sheltered workplace in Hawkesbury for 6 months. Then we came to Castleman and opened that same thing again. So I transferred there. So that's my history. So I worked with that population, I'd say, for about 5-6 years. Then they opened a new services, children's developmental services. So that's where I wanted to work with babies all my life. So I went to work with them. So that was like another agency. And I stayed with them for like 25 years until Valoris, it wasn't called Valoris at the beginning, but we decided that an amalgamation of all services in Presque-Isle was better. So that's when it started. So that took a couple of years, and they took all the workers from the different agencies, and we still, unless we didn't want to, we could keep our jobs and do the same thing we were doing, but under one roof. So that was amazing. And that's how it developed. So it really got finished between 2000, 2001.
Okay.
So since then, it's been called different names, but it's now Valoris for children and adults.
And when you say government, was that provincial or federal?
It's provincial.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had a mandate to support connections within the community between you.
Well, all those services were provincial agencies anyway, so it was easier to get all together.
And so you were mentioning a lot how things were very siloed before, and what have you? And now they seem to be more integrated and cross, like a hub kind of.
A hub of services for everybody in the community that needs help.
And what have been some of the trade-offs as a result?
I don't see many trade-offs. Like I said, I work with 3 different kinds of agencies within that. It just gives you have you have colleagues that would work with adults, and you work with kids, or you work with youth. Well, you can still consult them about other things. And like I found actually what really helped when I worked with families with little kids from 0 to 18. But when they were like from 14 to 18, they would have to transfer to another agency who took care of adults. So that was like a transition. Sometimes that was difficult. Well, because we are under the same roof, it's done very easily. You basically go from that door to that door, and it's seamless. So for those families, it's so much easier. So you start talking about where, what kind of schooling can you do? I know you're going to finish your high school, but you'll have a certificate, not a high school diploma. So what can you do with that? Okay, well, you can go to Algonquin or Cité Collégiale because they do have programs for you. And then what do? Well, maybe you can get a work placement here. And so all that starts when they're like 15, 16. They don't have to wait till they're 18.
Okay.
And then the workers that take care of the adult program, they're expecting these kids to come. They know 4 or 5 kids from that area are coming soon. So we'll meet with them. We'll get to know them. So it's seamless. And a lot of the other programs also. Kids that come for a mental health consult. So you see a worker once a week for 4 weeks. So they give you all the abilities that they can teach you to the families. Okay, try this, try that, But then, it's limited to what else can I do? So then they say, oh, well, there's groups with CTC. Would you like to do that? Le programme à CTC, il parle d'anxiété, il parle de leadership, il parle d'avoir confiance en soi. Est-ce que tu veux faire ça? So again, it's seamless. And then you just refer kids to me, and then I meet with the parents and the child. And sometimes I meet them in the front door. It's happened this year more because a lot of people are coming to our front door at Valoris for services instead of just calling. And if I happen to be there, I'm there mostly in the afternoons. So when they come with their parents, I'll open the door for them, and I'm waiting for my kids to come for my group. Well, I stick around and, oh, so how old are you? You're 12? Oh, so what interests you? Why are you here? What would you like to do? So then the parent said, the kid says, well, I have this group that's starting in a few weeks. Would you like to know more about it? So given the documentation, meet with the parents the next day or whatever. And like some of my teens always said, especially this group, Girls on the Run, because it's so new, and we had room to add a few more for the first few weeks we started. 3 girls that came to meet with a worker who ended up, okay, I'm done with this program. What else can I do? And I was there. It says, why don't you join us for 10 minutes? We're starting in right now. If you want to, your parent will wait for you outside. If you don't like it, you can go home. It's just a volunteer kind of thing. They said, okay. So the kids, oh, Carole, did you kidnap another kid? Because these girls never leave.
Yeah.
There's not one that decided, I don't want this. I don't like it. So, and the other girls like the fact that we add new kids all the time. So.
From what you've been telling me, I can completely understand the social benefits, the personal benefits that the children are using. There's plenty of beautiful stories of growth and development and connection. And I'm curious if, do you guys also do some type of impact assessment of, for like every dollar that somebody invests or donates to this, as a society, we regain so much because people don't become truant, or they don't continue down dangerous paths, or they heal and they don't have to be using other.
Well, I don't know if they do it with like money side, but we do have a team that's called La Qualité, and we send all the information of our groups that are tested, validated. So how the kids respond at the beginning, how to do at the end. And there's a test to validate, they did learn all this stuff, because obviously that's how we can measure the impact. The kids can tell you the impact, but when you want to measure, then that's what we use. We have another system. It's called FIT. We have a lot of different programs that we use, and that's a very simple one. At the beginning of the group, you say, how you feeling? 1 out of 10. And at the end, how you feeling? And you can see right away the kid that it wasn't a good day. And so he stayed the same, or he wasn't participating. He was sat in the corner, didn't want to be there, but he stayed, but he didn't. But the next time he might start at a 1 and finish with a 10, So it does measure humanly how we do things. But the qualité is the department that they would know all those things, which it's not my department.
Yeah.
I just send it to them. There you go. You analyze it and you make sure that it's done, and they do.
And so what's I guess like the longevity plan for someday you'll eventually pass on and somebody else will. Is somebody else going to fill in your steps?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Of course. Like, actually, my colleague from Rockland, she was been working in Valoris for 20 years, and she wanted to do something else. Like, she did this program with me for the last 10, 15 years, and now she wanted to do something else. So she went on to another job at Valoris. So for the first 10 months, she has the opportunity to go back if she wants to. So somebody else can step in and have a chance to learn this program and see if it's for them. So, and I'm glad that's one of my old students that decided to do that. She had just finished school and was ready to start a full-time job. And so she started it. So she's going to run the Rockland area. So, of course, this will continue even when I'm gone.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how before things were siloed and now there's more of a kind of a hub approach. Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea or think about ever what the next evolution of this kind of service and program would look like?
I don't know, because it's changing all the time. I find now it's like Valoris is becoming a family where it used to be an employment. Like, it's very different. I think as a lot of people are leaving because they're older and they're moving on, and younger generation come here for a couple of years, get experience and leave too. So it's important to create that family bond, because that's how you keep your employees, like to feel like you're there for a reason. You can share with your colleagues, and there's a lot of sharing going around. And so they're really trying to create that kind of atmosphere. So that's different. It didn't used to be like that. In my mind, it was like that because that's the way I operate. Like, everybody that works for Valoris, I think everybody knows my name, unless they're really, really new.
Yeah.
But even then, I met this young guy who just started to work maybe a month or two ago. I don't know. And we had this little breakfast last week on Purple Day. So, and he came to see me because he had looked at actually one of the podcasts we did with Doug while we were on with Catch the Ace. He had watched that and a couple other things that we put out. And he goes, wow, your program looks so interesting. I'm going to be working with teenagers too, but in another aspect, obviously. So kids that need help, and then how can I get them to go to your program? So he really wanted to know. So I said, well, I explained what to do, but I said, why don't you come and watch one time, participate, come to one group. And then the next day I called him back and I said, you told me you were really active in sports. He says, yeah. He says, oh, so you're the one who has the bikes and all that equipment in the garage? I said, yeah. Oh, could I use them to use with the kids I work with? I said, of course you can. So then he got even more interested. So I said, so you like sports? Because, yeah. Okay, well, I'm thinking of running a boys can run this winter. And it would be really nice to have a colleague to come that's actually a boy or guy, because, obviously I get always more women to work with. So he says, sure, I'd love it. So I'll talk to my supervisor. So that worked. In about 2-3 days, I got an email back, said, yes, you can have Jesse. He will participate with you. He's new. This is good for him to learn other things, and he can bring some of his clients to this group also. So that's how it works. And that's the way I always worked. But now it's really... c'est comme la philosophie de l'agence, c'est comme ça, là, on s'entraide.
Ça, c'est formidable. Comme je suis tellement content de savoir qu'on a cette option dans notre communauté. Et honnêtement, comme je pense qu'on a couvert plusieurs des points que tu voulais parler.
Oh oui.
Alors, est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses que tu veux que d'autres personnes sait? Ou...
Ben, comme on a beaucoup d'autres services à Valoris, un que j'ai pas parlé du tout, c'est on a des résidences pour des adultes qui ne peuvent pas vivre par eux-mêmes. So, ces résidences-là sont peut-être 4, 5 à 6 personnes. So, on a un peu partout dans Presque Russell. So, ça, c'est où ce qu'on a besoin de plus de gens pour travailler, parce que ils ont besoin souvent du 1 à 1. Ça fait que ça prend beaucoup de gens pour travailler. So, ça, c'est certain que c'est une grosse nécessité dans la communauté. Puis on a plein d'autres services, mais je te dis, pour parler pour Valoris, on aurait pour des semaines tout ce qu'on fait. So, j'essaie de me concentrer sur ce que moi je fais, puis quelqu'un d'autre peut parler. C'est les foyers d'accueil. Ça aussi, on a tellement besoin de nouveaux foyers d'accueil, de jeunes familles qui veulent embarquer puis être un foyer d'accueil. Chambre et pension. Tu veux prendre un teenager chez toi qui a plus que 16 ans, t'es pas obligé d'être un foyer d'accueil. T'as une chambre à louer chez vous, puis il y a un adolescent qui a besoin d'une place à vivre. Puis il y a son travailleur pour s'occuper de lui, puis on le place chez vous, puis Valoris aide à payer pour sa pension pour être chez toi. So, il y a plein de choses comme ça.
Le montant d'argent que tu reçois par le gouvernement et par les levées de fonds, c'est quoi les pourcentages?
Ben, vois-tu, moi, c'est toute levée de fonds. Moi, c'est juste mon salaire.
Okay.
Ils payent mon salaire, mon kilométrage, mes dépenses à moi comme employé. Mais tout ce que je fais dans la communauté, c'est des levées de fonds. Ils payent rien.
Dans une manière, c'est très... je vais juste le dire en anglais parce que le mot, je peux passer le mot, but on one hand, that is absolutely amazing that our community can fund so many of these initiatives. And it's like, we should all be patting each other on the back for that. On the other hand, there's a part of me that feels a little worried of like, okay, well, that seems a little as like a precarious way of funding for such amazing.
It's because it's a community program. It's different. So if there was no more money, I guess we couldn't run the program anymore. I don't know what they would do. But so far as all the years I've worked with this program, I've never been able not to do what I had to do. So I think they would find a way to keep it going anyways. It's just the government the way it is, right?
Yeah.
The funds, there's just so many funds that can cover. And of course, we have to cover the mental health problems. So that's covered. We have to cover the protection issues. That's a must. So those things are a necessity. This is also a necessity, but it's like, c'est bénévolement, pas bénévole, c'est volontaire. Puis souvent, quand tu embarques dans quelque chose volontaire, comme quand tu fais du bénévole, ça a un gros impact. Parce que tu es là, parce que tu veux être là. Tu veux apprendre, tu veux faire partie de ce groupe-là.
Ouais.
So, c'est pour ça que ça fonctionne aussi, je pense. Tu sais, c'est pas une obligation. Tu le fais parce que tu veux.
Tu vois la valeur. Ouais.
Ouais. Autant les travailleurs, autant que la population, les parents, les jeunes.
Okay. And is there anything that you're hoping for, you're wishing for that would happen that could make something easier? Like, is there anything people that are like out there in the ether, you know?
I don't know. Maybe someone will come up when I think about it, but I definitely want to connect with the Sportsplex. Like maybe it won't be me, maybe it'll be somebody else, but because it's right there. I love the way it's done. Like Valoris is there, the bike path is there, the dome is there, the park, and then all that land that's left to, you know, to have an arena, to have a pool, to have whatever else we need. I would love to have a little hub for teenagers in the Sportsplex because they need a place on their own and somebody to look after it. Because that's the big thing. To look after a youth group center is a lot of work. And you need dedicated people because it's not always going to be peachy.
Yeah.
If I look at all the other places, like there are programs, there are problems that will occur. So you have to be ready for that.
Yeah. I've been trying to think about what to do in that regards. Like I've been kicking around the idea of like a pop-up library / place that youth can go and hang out and where it's kind of a social spot at Camille Pichet when it's empty.
That would be a good thing. Maybe a spot just for youth. Yeah.
And that it would because it's pop-up, because it gets rented, it would have to require some element of youth being involved. It's like if you guys want a place that you can hang out, you have to help us set it up and take it down. I'm looking in Russell to see where there's opportunities. I'm going to be hopefully collaborating with the Russell Agriculture Society, who owns the fairgrounds and the stage and structure. They want to put together a youth board so that way they can think of projects for youth by youth to get them engaged. So I see a lot of opportunity.
Well, that would be a really good match for us because I always go and I check with the Optimist. Anytime I do something, I've been doing Family Day since Family Day started. We'd get 1,200 people that would show up, and it would be all free because, you know, Optimist would donate something. I would be like maybe the core to manage all that stuff, but we'd have to go get money from donations to pay for this. And the township would let us use the hall, the bowling, the arena, all the facilities. And that was great. And then COVID came, so we stopped. But we're going to try to revamp that and do something else. I'm not sure this year if we will be able to do something, maybe a little smaller than we used to do, but we'll see if we can get together members of community to, at least for kids, you know, to come for a small show or something.
Absolutely. I've also been thinking about, because I know they had the Learn to Connect project, which was kind of similar to what you're talking about. If you wanted to teach anybody something, you could use a community center space for free.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they're restarting something similar to that. I saw an email go out recently, but I had this thing called Improv to Improve, which is using improv games to help people open up, be better at collaborating, and deal with social anxiety and just
that would be great.
Performance and engaging with each other. And then I was also trying to think of what type of exercises and practices for public speaking. So there's a big difference between doing improv games with each other in a small group in a closed room versus preparing to do public presentation and speaking and stuff like that. But if this is something that you're interested in...
we did do some of that, like that Keep Calm and Change the World, that group. We had a committee, like we would elect a president, vice president, secretary, and they would have to make a speech, and there was elections. So in between, just to teach them how committees are run.
Yeah.
And the kids loved it. Not everybody wants to speak in front and do that, but the kids that did want to... and I had one kid actually who was so shy, who didn't talk to anybody. And he came back. He says, I'm running for president. I said, well, great. Do you have a speech done? Yeah, I practiced. Okay. And he was all dressed up, had a nice sweater, pants, like not in jeans and t-shirt. okay. So the night of so I said, well, can I film you? It's just for us. I'm not going to show anybody. It's just so you can see yourself after. I had no idea what he was going to do. It was amazing. And he won. And he had no friends in that group.
Wow.
So the kids voted for him because he was good. And they were amazed. And after that, he had a whole bunch of friends, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so stuff like that, we love to develop because that's all part of what we do.
Okay.
We have to connect with the community and do whatever can happen. We'd be there to help out.
So the Keep Calm and Change the World.
Yeah.
Did that end because of COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
I had like 35 kids signed up. They didn't always come every time we met, but that time we met once a week.
Okay.
But the ones that came and they'd come back, or some people have hockey, some people have this,
Yeah.
so they would come when they could. But that was a great, great forum for kids to be. It was so open that everybody's voice was heard.
Okay.
So
and
we had guest speakers. We had, anything they wanted.
So what's necessary for that to...
We want to start it again in January.
In January,
yeah.
okay. That's when I'm going to be meeting with Russell Agricultural Society.
Okay, so in January, I'd like to at least once a month to have one group to run it to see what happens. We also have a community garden too, I forgot to talk about.
Oh, yeah?
We've been doing that for 5 years. So we do a little garden at Valoris in the back since we've been there. And teenagers, we have a little committee of 5 to 6 kids. They plant, and then another gang comes to clean up and water. Because I said, I'm not going to go water that garden every night.
Yeah.
So all through summer, a lot of time it's a parent and kid that come. So they get volunteer hours and they learn about, growing your food and eating your food. And then in the fall, we donated whatever was left to the food bank. So
that's fantastic.
Some stuff didn't work. Some stuff did work. So last year, oh my God, we had all these, not cabbages. What was it? Des navets. C'est quoi en anglais, des navets? It's not a potato, but it's a...
rutabaga?
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, we had... Turnip? Yeah, we had tons of those. I don't know why. We only planted half a row, but I think it's spread, or the kids, when they planted... They dropped seeds. It was some all over the place. So we ended up with bushels of them. Yeah. So it's good experience for them. Again, something new.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm so happy that you guys exist. Yeah. I honestly, youth, there's so much potential with what they can do and take part. And that whole element of helping them start to flex those muscles of contributing, being part of a community, understanding how they can contribute. It's not just about having a job and making money. There's so many other ways in which they can take part. And even when it comes to democracy and the way our system works, it's not just show up on one day and vote. There's all these other ways in which you can actually shape and influence your community and your surroundings. Like voting is one element in which you can shape your community and your future, but this is also another manner. And especially post-COVID, dealing with chronic loneliness, having people the opportunity to connect and relate and to feel like they're part of something is so important.
Well, I'm glad I met you too, because I think it's an opportunity to, express what we do. And then sometimes I forget, oh my God, yeah, we did all this. Or this is what we could do too. Let's add to it. So the more I talk to people, the more ideas come in my head, and the kids, I'll go back and say, look, I did an interview with Eric Greer, and guess what? We talked about all this stuff, and you guys have other ideas, and they will come up with something, So it's great. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I think we can wrap up with that. If there's any final message you want to share, if you want people to get a hold of you anyway.
They call Valoris and ask for Carole Granata. I let go of my Patnode name just because it's too complicated, but Carole Granata I'm known, I think, so they'll find me. Anybody that needs to find me, of course, I have a voicemail and everything. They can leave messages, but I'm very reachable.
Perfect.
I don't have hours of work, so they can call me almost anytime. And when I decide I'm not working, I'm not working.
Well, thank you for everything. I and many people in our community are absolutely grateful and fortunate to have someone like you contributing and leading and showing the way. So,
well, I'm glad to help. And again, I'd like to thank Kin Club because they're making this happen in another way, letting me be able to make all these dreams come to life.
And to CJRO Radio for allowing us to use the space.
Yes, of course.
I have to
that I didn't know that existed. Now I'm happy to know that. So for sure. Well, thank you.
Thank you.